Hello everybody, welcome back to Killer Film Reviews. Today's review is going to be on the film Elvis, one of Baz Luhrmann's newest films. I really like this director because he actually takes his time to make his own tracks. Every track you hear in here that isn't by a major artist is like produced by Baz. He has every single track, majority of them produced by himself, which I really find to be nice. I watched this film twice, so I think I have a good understanding of the plot and everything. Oh, let's get into our cast list. We have Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker, Austin Butler as Elvis, which killed it in that role, as Tom Hanks also killed it in his role. Olivia DeJonge as Prisca Presley, Helen Thompson as Gladys, Richard Rothbard as Vernon, Kelvin Harrison Jr. as B.B. King, David Henham as Hank Snow, Cotty Smith-McPhee as Jimmy Rogers Snow, Gracie J. Schilling, Darcy Montgomery as Stevie Pender, Gary Kerr Jr. as Arthur Big Boy Langford as Tom Diskin, Bola as Sister Rosetta Thorpe, Natasha Bassett as Dixie Lucky, Xavier Smith as Scotty Moore, Dunn as Bill Black, Captain Mason as Little Richard. This film is going to get an Academy Award, I'm sure of it, because Baz usually does a fantastic job with his films. He's like Quentin Tarantino in some ways in that he only puts out a limited number of films. So you know if he puts out a film, it's going to be good. It's been nearly 9 years since he put out a film, almost. Because the last one before this was Great Gatsby, which is one of my all-time favorite films. So maybe I have a little bit of a bias when reviewing this film, I will admit, but it's a good film. It's seriously an 11 out of 10 film, and I'm going to get into why here. So you start out with Colonel Tom Parker basically going on about... He's like at the end of his life pretty much, and he's like walking through a casino or whatever, and he keeps hearing all the news headlines. Colonel Tom Parker is a cheat, a liar, a thief. You basically have him be in like some sort of dreamlike state, and then he like wakes up and says, "That's not true." And he uses his accent, which Tom Hanks does beautifully. That ain't how the story goes with my boy. I can't quite do it. You get what I mean, right? You get a whole... The film basically does cover Elvis's almost whole life. Obviously, there's gaps here and there because there wasn't really anything significant that happened until he got into his teenage years. The whole gist of it is Colonel Tom Parker is kind of telling us the story of how he came on to Elvis, while we see Austin Butler do a fantastic job of portraying Elvis. While you have Elvis's tracks sort of sprinkled in throughout the film. You get to go through the era of through 1955 up till 1977 pretty much, because that's when... Oh yeah, you do get a little 1947 in there. 45 or 47. Look at me, I'm stuck on this rock. Game's got to fix this darn geometry on these islands. But yeah, you basically start out with Tom Parker narrating the film pretty much, and then you get to see Elvis on stage. What the hell is up with this? My ship is caught on the island. Right when I'm trying to do a review on Elvis. Isn't that hilarious? Reverse out of this at least. What is up with this? It's like I can't even control my ship. Jeez. But yeah, Elvis. You just really get into the film. My only nitpick really is that I didn't hear Guitar Man. That's like my favorite Elvis song. I'm like, where the hell is Guitar Man? Why isn't it in the film? I do get to there was Jailhouse Rock, thankfully, and Heartbreak Hotel and Suspicious Minds, so they had a good majority of tracks in there. But yeah, Guitar Man's just my favorite. He just has that nice beat to it. You go through Elvis's life, like when he was still small before he got into RCA Records. The Colonel Tom Parker guy basically like is able to find him pretty much. He like traces him through the Hall of Mirrors to go get Elvis. This is after hearing Elvis over the radio, and he's like, "Who's that guy?" And while they're trying to plan their little plan for the week or whatever, because like Colonel Tom Parker in like 1954-ish is like he works as a con man in a carnival pretty much. He calls it the snow business. But yeah, he's basically like a giant con man, don't get me wrong. I believe that he did probably care for Elvis at some points, but not really toward the end. Oh boy. You do get to see a lot of the dynamic between Tom Parker and Elvis. It kind of really focuses on them a lot over Priska Presley. I mean, you do get to see the beginnings of Priska and Elvis's relationship pretty much. You see that at least, but there's really not too many. You get to see the baby Lisa Maria. You see that in the film. The whole film, how can I classify it? It's like an experience. It's an experience. More than a movie, it's more of an experience. You know, I really can't say it any other way. It didn't really feel like a movie to me. To me, it felt like an experience. Like when you see it, it's like, wow, this really happened. Elvis really did this. I think the film basically sticks to stated facts. Obviously, it leaves out some of Elvis's girlfriends. Like, toward the beginning, you know, you get like the Hank Snow guy, and then he gets dropped by Colonel Tom Parker. Colonel Tom Parker realizes that Elvis is more popular among the ladies. He sees the effect that Elvis has on the ladies with his gyrations, pretty much. His movements of his body, pretty much. There's even a joke, like, at one point, like, the Elvis pelvis or something. I was cracking up that whole time. Elvis does really rebel against Tom Parker at different points. And Tom Parker's not even his real name. It's like some Dutch Alexander Koenig something name that you find out by watching the film, of course. This is a minor spoiler. Do I really think that this film really... What do I think of this film when I think of the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder? I've seen some upcoming reviews of Thor Love and Thunder, and it really does not look like it's doing too hot. It sounds like it's like more of a comedy film when we're looking forward, and I think that Elvis is going to beat it and get a ton of Academy Awards. Like, obviously, you're going to get an Academy Award for Best Soundtrack. At least they'll get that. I really don't want to give away too much of this film, but if you know Elvis's life, you kind of know the direction this film is going for the most part. Honestly, it's such a tragic tale. Like, you can even compare it to Gatsby in some ways, because Gatsby never got to get back with Daisy. Elvis never got to be back with his love, Priska Presley, because Colonel Tom Parker kept making him work at the stupid international Las Vegas hotel all the time. Elvis basically did a lot of tours in the US, but he never could go international tours because Colonel Tom Parker wasn't even a citizen of the United States. He was a citizen of no country because he ran away from the Netherlands. Figures. I think that Tom Hanks really did portray him well. I really have no complaints with Tom Hanks' portrayal of him. I just think that the actual guy in real life was a scummy guy. The way he just used Elvis for his own gain. I mean, they had the I Hate Elvis button, they had everything, and like you see at different points in the film, Elvis's own mother was saying that she didn't really like Tom Parker, and Elvis's mother was basically telling Elvis, hey, don't forget your roots, don't forget your roots, don't get away from me, booby. Pretty much. She really loved Elvis. Elvis and her had a strong relationship because the father, Vernon Presley, was in jail for so many years, and Elvis just really got his influence for his music because he would go to all the African American singing spots, pretty much. You know, he'd hang out there. And obviously, yes, because of the timeline of this film, that being covering the 50s, 60s, and a little bit of the 70s, you get a lot of talk about the segregation. And literally, there's a point where Elvis is performing at a concert after being told, "Hey, don't move around like an African American," and he just defies it. He's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't care, because there's like a segregation rally like next door. It's hard to believe that our country was literally at that point, like almost, what was it, 70 years ago to the day now? It's got to be 70 years almost. 68 years. You get what I'm saying? Jeez, I'm gonna tore up my torpedoes of all things. Elvis had a ton of critics, which you find out in this film. They're basically trying to ban him from television at one point because they didn't like his movements, because they thought that they were they thought that they're anti-Christian or something to that matter. I guess it's one way of putting it. You still had segregation in full swing. You have about every major moment where the film stops. You have the Martin Luther King, it slows down, the Robert Kennedy slows down, but the notable omission was John F. Kennedy when he passed. Why they didn't cover that, I don't know. My guess is that they didn't want to overshadow John F. Kennedy's passing with Elvis in the film. That's just my take on it, because they show his brother Robert when he passed away, Elvis's reaction. There's like even a point in the film where like Elvis does a protest song, which we all know happened in real life. I forget the name of it. There's a point where Elvis is embarrassed in the film pretty much because he has to wear like tailcoats because they want to ban him on television. You get to see that. And Elvis is being embarrassed. They embarrassed the crap out of him in New York, I want to say. They just legitimately did not get what he was going for. Seems to be a struggle with every generation. There's always some new thing that comes along and the older generations don't like it. For the generation in the 1950s, 1960s, it was like it was how Elvis moved on stage. They didn't like how it was similar to how an African American man or woman would sit there and do that. A lot of Elvis's songs have influence from African Americans. They're directly taken from them. Hound Dog, This Is Right or something. There's a lot of them. Really finishing off this Coke that I got at McDonald's. Literally like 1 in the morning when I'm recording this. 1:30 something. But yeah, you know, it just shows that, you know, that I'm dedicated to what I do, guys and gals. I really appreciate all of you that just take the time to watch the channels. I know I may not be the biggest YouTuber on the darn platform, but I try to do what I can with the time I get. And obviously we couldn't sit there and have killer film reviews without a video this week. That's why I'm kind of rushing this one out a little bit. Now let me think, what else did I have sitting around the pipeline? Let's see here, Jurassic Park review, Transformers The Last Night review. I have notes taken, so we should be fine on those. I'll just reference my notes and I'll pull them out again. I think a big part of Elvis is just everything that happens to him. You know, it's a dynamic between what is right and what is wrong, I guess you could say in some ways, because was it truly right for Elvis to sit there and keep going at fame so hard like he did? If he had pulled back a little bit, could he have still been with his family to this day? I think that's a major question to consider. And no, I don't buy into the theories that Elvis is still alive. He is dead and buried. I completely believe that. Just like I don't buy into the fact that somehow Walt Disney is still alive, cryogenically frozen. Come on. The only thing that's even plausible is the fact that there might have been aliens that visited us. That's about the only one that I even see plausible, because I've actually found proof of that. I've actually had family members which have encountered UFO sightings on their own, pretty much. I'm not going to name names, of course, because I'm not that stupid, but I would say yes, there's probably an existence of aliens, but for all the other stuff, no. Was there multiple shootings on John F. Kennedy? I don't know on that one, honestly, because I wasn't there to witness it, and it's been too long for people to really analyze it and really figure out what's been going on there. Do I really think that Elvis could have done a lot better with what he did? I mean, for sure. I mean, he didn't really get to be with his family that much. I mean, Lisa Marie was like, what, 2 or 3 or maybe 5 max when Elvis passed away? It's just a heartbreaking film when you think about it. It was like a musical number throughout the whole thing, you know. It was constant music. They constantly keep your attention. I think that I should just dedicate this to a good friend of mine, Destiny. He's really helped me get out of a bad spot lately. I look up to her too and all that. But yeah. We don't see eye to eye these days, unfortunately. I'll just dedicate it. I'll dedicate this to her and to Shayla B. As Shayla B was an old flame of mine way back in the day. Landedkiller needs to get on his game because he's been off his game for so long. Honestly, do I really have anything that I wish I could change about this film? I wish we could have seen more of the aftermath of what happened in Elvis's passing. I wish they had focused on that more. Maybe a little scene with adult Lisa Marie, like the actual Lisa Marie being present in the film and actually saying a message to everybody at the end. That would have been something. I'm surprised that they didn't really have that. The film really has no post-credit scene in it. It is what it is, you know. I think that the entire film could just use some it could really use just like a follow-up one of these days where they actually just have like a bonus feature where Lisa Marie is just talking about the film and what she thinks about it. You know, Elvis's daughter. Maybe a little anecdote from Priska Presley as well. I hope that's in the bonus features at least when this actually comes out on Blu-ray. I'm not really sure anybody actually picks up Blu-rays anymore, but maybe I will for this film. I don't even have a Blu-ray player. I don't know. I think I'm gonna buy at least the Apple edition of it and hope it has some good special features like Lisa Marie actually talking about the film and how they kind of went about it, you know. Baz just always delivers with his films. I cannot say that enough. The guy is a creative genius. You really do not get disappointed when you see his films. I really just want to go back and watch some of his earlier works. Obviously, we got the people in the crowd that are being like, oh, why didn't you finish Spider-Man already? And I just want to say to those people, let me think. Would you guys have rather have seen a Spider-Man or Transformers Last Night review over Elvis? I don't think so. I think you'd rather see the Elvis review first before the other projects that I had in the works prior. I already have notes on the Last Night and Jurassic World Dominion. The TLDR of Jurassic World Dominion is not really worth the hype, not really worth seeing. We'll obviously get a full-length review out on it in time, but I have other things that have to take priority over that, such as videos for the main channel first. The main channel needs videos this week, and I can't just have a short devlog video and then no follow-ups to anything else. It's tough to sometimes get these videos out there, I'm not gonna lie, but I do it because I care about my fans and I care about everybody that watches these channels. It's all, I go all in with whatever I do, and that's how I view the YouTube. Obviously people are gonna be like, oh, why are you uploading Batman blah blah blah, Batman the Telltale series gameplays, and I'll say to that, it's because I want to. That's why there's a Landedkiller Plus channel. It's not just the channel where stuff just sits. It's where I actually will do a thing or two because it doesn't fit on the main channel. When you put too many different videos together on like your channel, it kind of messes up in the YouTube algorithm. So that's why a lot of this Telltale Games is ending up on the Landedkiller Plus versus the main channel. But they are pretty full-length videos. A lot of them are hour in length at least. So if you're really bored, you can watch those, I guess. It's not like I make it a secret that there's other channels. There's more than, you know, the channels that you know of here. You know, it's a lot of time commitment to everything. I've decided to put out a couple more videos on the Zombies channel over the next couple of days because I feel like it didn't get a lot of attention recently, and yes, I'm obviously going to upload the Rebel Racing gameplay of the week and all that. For some reason people are just eating up the Rebel Racing. I don't know why. Maybe it's the fact that multiple audiences can just watch it no matter what language they speak. That's my guess anyway on that one. I can't really think of any other reasons why people watch those gameplays, but they surprise me. 1,000 views per video, and I'm just sitting here scratching my head going like, wow. Wow. I appreciate all the support on the racing channel, I really do. I just say to the folks on there, check out my other works. Don't just focus on the racing channel because there's other content produced on the other channels all the time. Why does Elvis deserve an 11 out of 10 compared to the other film reviews I've done recently? Soundtrack, story, smoothness of story, story that makes sense. Doesn't hop all over the place, it goes in chronological order. 1947, 1955, 1961, 62, 63, 1971, 72, 73, 74. Basically, you stop at 1974 pretty much. They show like Elvis seeing like Lisa Marie one last time, and Priska telling Elvis, hey, there's this nice treatment center, you should probably go visit it. And yes, they do focus on Priska and Elvis's relationship throughout this film in different parts. You don't really get a nice marriage scene between them, which was kind of annoying on my part. I would have loved them to have just focused on that a little bit more, because that's a happy moment for any couple, is when they get married. They show the birth of Lisa Marie. I mean, not that birth, but they show her, you know, when she's a newborn, pretty much. I don't really give you like an Elvis passing away scene because I've actually looked this. Now this is per Wikipedia, so it may be questionable, but apparently Elvis passed away while trying to how do I put this? Take a dump, I guess. But he had too many. He had like a heart attack from trying to just let one out, I guess. It's a sad way to die, but. Yeah, it's very sad. I can understand why they didn't include that in the film for obvious reasons. So that's embarrassing. Do I believe it was drugs that ultimately caused this? I believe the drugs were a factor. Too many of them. Along with Elvis's aggressive touring schedule. The guy barely had any time for breaks. They show him in the hospital even at one point. They even show a point where he passes out and Tom Parker's being relentless and telling him, hey, get Dr. Nick over here, get him back on stage, I want this guy on stage, blah, blah, blah. And Tom Parker basically tricks Elvis into performing at the Las Vegas International Hotel instead of being able to go on his world tour, which he wanted to do. Make no mistake, Elvis didn't want to stay stateside the whole time. He wanted to go on his international tour. Did Elvis deserve to go out the way he did? Not really. I think the guy could have lived for another 20 years at least if he hadn't been so aggressive with the touring schedule. I just feel for Lisa Marie Presley for not having a father in her life for most of her days. I believe that Priska did marry again. This other guy. What's his name? Let's see here. I can probably figure this out. Priska Presley. Let's see. Who did you marry after Elvis passed? Did you marry anyone? Marco Garibaldi. So Marco Garibaldi probably helped in raising Lisa Presley for a bit. It looks like they had a son, Veroni Garibaldi. Looks like there is an official great-granddaughter to Elvis, Riley Keough. Interesting. I can still see some of Elvis in the great-granddaughter. I mean, in the granddaughter, not great-granddaughter. What am I thinking? Do I really think that this film could have went any differently? Really, I mean, I really can't think of any big improvements to it. Honestly, I just really enjoyed it. I cannot say that enough. The fact that I'm still talking about it even now just shows how interested I was in this film. Makes me wonder what Baz's next project honestly is after this, because it'll probably be another few years before he takes on something again after this. You can make even comparisons to Gatsby. You could say that the green light, you could apply the green light, you know, like how Gatsby wanted to be with Daisy, illustrated by the green light in the dock, to Elvis wanting to be with his family again. Because when Priska divorced him, it really tore a hole in him. You could tell it in his music, and I think it contributed to him just wanting to work all the time. All that. They even show like Elvis having some effects from the drugs, and kind of going a little psycho there for a minute, rolling around a pistol or whatever. And Tom Parker basically says, oh, he did it for the love of his fans, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, that may be true, but I think the fans didn't want to see Elvis pass away because he did too many tours, you know? It's common sense. Elvis was a beloved American icon. His passing just really tore a hole in the nation itself at the time, I want to say. Had so much influence on modern culture. It's not even crazy to think about it. The best selling solo artist of all time. He still holds the record for that even today. Do I really think that much could have been changed about the film? Nah. I think it is good how it is. I don't really have any complaints about it. I think that Elvis just really, or Austin Butler really killed it in the role of Elvis, and Tom Hanks really killed it in the role of Colonel Tom Parker. The sad thing is that Elvis's mother passed away because Elvis got drafted in the army. It's kind of how Priska Presley and Elvis even meet up in the film. I just really love this film, and I really hope that you enjoy it, but I don't need this film review to drag on for another hour. You know, I just hope you take time to watch this film. I've seen it twice. I loved it both times. Enjoy it for what it is, and remember Elvis when you watch it and just take it in one step at a time. That's what I would say. Till next time, thank you for watching this rather longer than usual killer film. See you in the next killer film. Thank you.